She's fantastic. I mean, we'd both worked with David Fincher and Steven Soderbergh and had fantastic experiences, and I knew how much both those men, who I intensely respect and adore Rooney, so I knew it was going to be great. But just how great and how open and how free and how she's just not fazed by anything, and really even, in terms of her temperament on set, but then where she can go, emotionally and physically and psychologically. It's sort of that it really belies that ability. We'd actually done a couple of days together on a Terrence Malick film in Austin 2 years ago, a year ago. So that was great. This is a very different endeavour. He's gorgeous and so funny and so generous, and he's a modern man, but he's such a man, not a lot of men in cinema, but he's a man, and one with such heart, and he, and is not so full of ego that he can't be broken or fragile or full of shame, all of those things which Harge is, experiencing. So it's great to work with him again for a longer period. He loves Carol deeply and Carol loves him deeply, but it just hasn't worked. And he's trying to put Band-Aids on it so that he doesn't have to lose face with his family or lose face with himself or lose face at work. And they're all very human, relatable, understandable feelings that he's experiencing. And there's all sorts of reasons why this shouldn't happen. And Carol, she's had a child, she's been in a relationship, she's been out of a relationship, she's had fallen in love with a woman. I mean, she's had many, many experiences that Therese, simply by the product of her age and her own environment, hasn't been through. So I think that Carol thinks it's if I fall headlong into this, I'm going to be falling in a different way than a girl who is much younger than me. Because when you fall in love for the second time, and perhaps more profoundly the second time, you know what you're risking, and so therefore you know what you're in danger of losing. And I think that there's a kind of a melancholy, a wistfulness, a different sense of apprehension that Therese just doesn't have or understand. But perhaps by the end of the film, she understands that loss, and which makes the potential of their love in the future, I think, even richer. What seems a ridiculous and obvious thing to say about a filmmaker, but he's so intensely visual, and the references that he brought to bear on this. I mean, he's made films about sort of people who are on the outside or people who think differently to the mainstream in one way or another, but he's treading visual terrain here that I've never seen him tread. It's so a whole lot of reflections. So you see the characters actually often recede within the reflection of the society in which they're inhabiting, the taxis going by, the cabs, the passers-by. So it's a very subtle, delicate aesthetic that he's working with. But he's so buoyant and so full of feeling and good humour and generous to a fault, to everyone on set. He's so wonderful to work with.